Shalom, shalom, shalom. You are live and direct once again with your Akazaki Yahoo. I'm giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, Yahweh Shai, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say shalom, wa baruchim. That is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait to the day when the Most High brings us back together, and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation, under the Most High power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. All praises to the Almighty Yah. Hallelujah. All praises to Yahweh. All right, you are live and direct once again with your Akazaki Yahoo, and we are bringing you the information that you need to know, because what you need to understand is that your adversaries have done wickedness, and in their wickedness, they have appeared to be punished, but always the punishment for you, so-called black man, so-called Negro, so-called Hispanic, so-called Haitian man, so-called uh, of Negroid descent, you have been punished by the Most High Power. So your punishment is greater than the punishment of these heathen. So whatever you got and whatever you've been given, your punishment is going to be greater than their punishment, because your punishment comes from the Most High. The Most High have put a spirit on your adversary to punish you even greater than what your adversary has been punished. You can do the same crime at the same time in the same place, and your punishment will be greater than the punishment of your adversary. So with that in mind, we're going to jump into this video. This first video is called Racist Killers Who Got What They Deserve. Real sentences, real justice. This comes to us from Justice Reserve. All right, we're going to check out their video, and we'll give praises to the Most High for the information that's going to go forth in this video. But understand one thing, is that the punishment that the children of Israel get, it comes from the Most High. The punishment that this heathen get right now is coming from their judgment from their own people. So their judgment is being saved up, and it's being saved up for a specific purpose, because once their judgment reaches the top, that's when the Most High is going to send Hamashiach to visit those who need punishment. And once Hamashiach comes to visit them, they're going to get what they deserve. They're going to get their just desserts. And you can read about it before it happens. That's what's going to happen with these people. But let's go ahead and get to the video. Once again, all praises unto the Most High Power, Yahweh, Bashem, Hamashiach, Wamalak, and King Yahweh Shai. All right, here we go. Oh, Salaki, I got the wrong video. Salaki, my bad. Clicked on the wrong one. Let me get the right one. Okay. Here's the right one. Salaki, here we go. All right, now we got the right one. All right, here we go.
Real sentences, real justice. Welcome back to Justice Reversed, where real crimes meet real justice. Number 1, Dylan Storm Roof. He didn't rush in. He waited. Dylan Roof sat quietly among churchgoers in a historic black church in Charleston, South Carolina. For 45 minutes, he listened to scripture and prayer. But behind his calm demeanor was a loaded Glock .45 and a plan months in the making. On the evening of June 17, 2015, Roof opened fire during the closing prayer at Mother Emanuel AME Church, a sacred symbol of African American resilience. He waited until the attendees had bowed their heads, then stood up, drew his weapon, and began shooting. 74 rounds were fired. He reloaded multiple times. Victims were shot at close range, some while lying on the floor. 9 people died that night, including State Senator and Reverend Clementa Pinckney. One survivor recalled Roof saying, "I'm going to leave you here to tell the story." Roof had spent 6 months preparing the massacre. He had studied the church's significance in Black history, drafted racist manifestos, and selected his targets with chilling intent. Somebody had to do it, he later told FBI agents, claiming his goal was to ignite a race war. His online searches led him deep into white supremacist forums, radicalizing his worldview. He believed Black Americans were taking over the country and saw violence as his solution. He was captured the next day, identified by security footage, and arrested 245 miles away after a civilian spotted his car. Inside was the same .45 caliber handgun used in the attack. During interrogation, Roof confessed without remorse, "I am guilty. We all know I'm guilty." The justice system responded decisively. In federal court, he was convicted of 33 charges including hate crimes and obstruction of religious exercise resulting in death. He became the first person in U.S. history sentenced to death for a federal hate crime. A separate state trial added 9 consecutive life sentences. At sentencing, Judge Richard Gergel declared his crimes qualify him for the harshest penalty that a just society can impose.
Yeah, they should have gave him a immediate death by hanging, because that would have been suitable for this heathen and his evil. You know, this cat did hurt a lot of people. And going into that church, into that place, and shooting up people at prayer service. You know, there cannot be a more cowardly act than that. He should have been publicly hung. That would have been a suitable punishment for this heathen. But instead, he waits to go through his appeals so that they can feel justified in shooting him with a tranquilizer. That's going to put him out. Hang him. Hang him. Scriptures say a man that hangs from a tree is a curse. And he's worse than a curse. He killed 9 unarmed people who was trying to worship and pray to their deity. That's never acceptable. That is the epitome of wickedness. And then they took him to Burger King to eat afterwards. Let's continue.
Roof sat emotionless, wearing a pale prison uniform, eyes fixed forward as the sentence was delivered. Roof insisted on representing himself, rejecting mental health defenses to preserve his ideological message. He feared pity more than death, unwilling to let anything soften the impact of his racist intent. Psychiatric evaluations noted signs of social anxiety, depression, and possible autism, but the court ruled him competent. Even as his appeals progressed, Roof remained unrepentant. He now awaits execution at USP Terre Haute, the federal death row in Indiana. In 2024, President Biden commuted most federal death sentences, but not Roof's. The victims' families offered a complex response. Some, like Ethel Lance's daughter, said, "I forgive you."
Forgive him for what? He never asked for forgiveness. He never asked you to not hold him accountable. He never asked you to look over what he had done. He wanted what he had done to be remembered for evil. For you to say, "I forgive you," does not empower him. For you to say, "I forgive you," does not empower you. You are not to forgive your enemies, not those enemies of other nations. You are to forgive those who are of your own people. You are to be light on those of your own nation, not the heathen, on the people who were raised to be like you are. Those are the people who you are to forgive. You don't forgive a heathen who enters into a worship service and shoots people with a gun while they're praying. That's not forgivable. The Most High don't forgive for things like that. That is malicious intention to destroy people. The Most High does not forgive for people who destroy other people. Who are you to forgive somebody for doing evil? And he didn't ask for your forgiveness. He didn't ask you to forgive me because I didn't realize what I was doing. He never said that. You're forgiving him because he is a so-called white man and you want to be in good standing with the white deity that you think you serve. I got news for you. There is no white deity. The power of Israel, the power of the scriptures, the power of this people is Negro. We are made in his image. So you have no reason to forgive a people who came about without his instruction. I forgive you. For what? He didn't ask you to forgive him. Even Hamashiach said, if they repent, then you forgive them. You don't ask a repentance, and that's for your own people. That's not even for these other nations. Did David forgive Goliath? Did the children of Israel forgive the nations that put them in captivity? But we are so quick to jump to, I forgive you. That's what Christianity has done to our people. It has literally destroyed. A person can do you evil in your face, and you can look in their eyes and say, I forgive you for doing me this evil. Because you think that's the right thing to do. That is not the right thing to do. Cursed be you who do evil to this people, who are the servants of the Most High, who worship and believe that the Most High will repay our evildoers tenfold for their evil. The power of our fathers is not a weak power. He is a power of justice and judgment. Judgment of the righteous, judgment of the wicked. And not just to, oh, I forgive you because you are some of these other people. And because you are these other people, I should forgive you for what you've done to me. Stop doing that. That is so weak. That is beyond weak. You make the whole nation look bad with that behavior. We are a nation of kings and priests. And guess what? Our priests carried swords. And they would attack and put to death those who needed it without hesitation. They wouldn't have to think twice about it. Let's continue.
Hey, Shalom, King. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Barakatah.
Shalom, King. Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Barakatah. We're reviewing this video on this on these murderers here. And the first one, of course, was Dylann Roof. And the first person, right off the bat, I forgive you. For what? He didn't ask for forgiveness. So I was going into that, but let's continue here.
Others demanded accountability. An $88 million settlement later held the government accountable for background check lapses that allowed Roof to buy his gun. This was more than a mass shooting. It was an act of domestic terrorism driven by white supremacy.
An act of domestic terrorism driven by white supremacy. That's not forgivable. That's not something that we forgive the domestic terrorists for. We don't forgive domestic terrorists. That's not our culture. I know that's Christian culture, but that's only Christian culture for the slaves. It's time to break out of those chains. It's time to get your mind correct and know that the power of our fathers is a power of vengeance. He said, vengeance is mine, not Hezekiah's, is his. But he'll also use Israel to do so. And in this case, he's going to use these heathen to put this other heathen to death. Because they're going to give him an injection and it's going to shut his whole system down. Because he went in here and did this evil stuff to these people. These people sought to do what was right, what they thought was right. And he didn't care about that at all. All he cared about was furthering his message. And his message was evil. Went in there and shot these people up. How you shoot a bunch of unarmed people? That is weak.
That
is stance. Go ahead, Ak.
I'm just backing off of what you just said. Forgiving, someone who hasn't asked to be forgiven. Whereas, we read a different account in the scriptures. Revelation chapter 6, beginning at verse 9 reads, "And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High, and for the testimony which they held." Our testimony being castaway Israelites in captivity, hated by those who oppress us, right? Verse 10, "And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Adonai, set apart and true, do you not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the erects?" So, these are those who have been slain, like these people who had gone into this worship building, unarmed, innocent blood, their testimony being that they were so-called black people. But the innocent blood is not asking for forgiveness for this individual.
No.
It's asking for the Most High to avenge. I'll yield there.
Avenge. We got to stop being, y'all got to stop being so weak. I can't even include myself in that. Because ain't no way in the world you're going to come and shoot up the congregation that I'm a part of and I'm going to say, I forgive you. No, I'm coming. Let's keep going before I mess around and say something. Had the FBI knocking on my door.
It left behind not just loss, but a reckoning. Even in a courtroom built on logic and law, hate left its fingerprints. Roof tried to start a war. What he ignited instead was a deeper national confrontation with racial violence and a reminder that justice, though slow, does not forget. Number 2, Patrick Woodcrusius. He circled the store first. Quiet, deliberate. For half an hour, Patrick Woodcrusius moved through the Walmart in El Paso, Texas as if scouting a battlefield. On August 3rd, 2019, Crusius drove over 650 miles from his home in Allen to a city known for its Hispanic culture and proximity to the Mexican border. It wasn't random. It was planned. In his car sat a WASR-10 rifle, 7 magazines, and a laptop loaded with hate. That morning, he uploaded a manifesto titled The Inconvenient Truth to the image board 8chan. In it, he declared war on immigration, echoed the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, and called for a response to what he saw as a Hispanic invasion of the United States. At 10:37 a.m., Crusius returned to his vehicle, retrieved his weapon, and opened fire. First, he shot people in the parking lot. Then, inside the store, he gunned down shoppers in the checkout lanes and bank lobby. Witnesses later described scenes of horror: parents shielding children, victims falling in mid-step, shoppers crawling through blood. In total, 23 people were killed. Another 22 were wounded. The victims ranged in age from 15 to 90. Among them were Jordan and Andre Anchondo, who died protecting their infant son. Guillermo Garcia, a soccer coach, succumbed to his injuries 8 months later. The Justice Department would later label it the deadliest anti-Latino attack in modern American history. Crusius didn't flee. He drove to a nearby intersection, stepped out with his hands raised, and told officers, "I'm the shooter." In interviews, he admitted his motive: to deter Hispanic immigration through fear. He claimed he had considered targeting other locations but chose El Paso for its border identity. "I wanted to send a message," he said. His confession removed any doubt. His planning left no room for misinterpretation. In federal court, Crusius pleaded guilty to 90 charges, including 45 counts of hate crimes and 45 firearms violations. Federal prosecutors declined the death penalty, a decision made after consultations with victims' families. Instead, he received 90 consecutive life sentences. During his state trial, victims' relatives addressed him directly. "You wanted to start a war?" one father asked. "You started funerals." Another mother told him, "I hope you wake up every day with their faces in your mind. I hope you never sleep in peace." Yolanda de Janeiro, sister of one of the deceased, hugged Crusius in court. Through tears, she told him, "You didn't know us. If you had, you would have known we are good people." Crusius sat expressionless, clad in a beige prison uniform, eyes lowered. No visible remorse. No apology. He now serves multiple life sentences at the Lewis C. Powledge unit in Palestine, Texas. No parole. No appeal. Only memory. The Walmart massacre triggered national debates on gun reform, domestic terrorism, and white nationalist rhetoric.
So again, you know, these Hispanic people, truth be told, these Hispanics are Caucasians, most of them, unless they got some Negro descent to them. They're Caucasians. He went and shot up and killed up a bunch of Caucasians in the name of immigration because he happened to be born in America, and he feel like these people are crossing the border and coming into the country that he happened to be born in, so he has more of a right to it than they do. So he went and shot 22 people who were unarmed. That is an act of cowardice. Only a coward will take a firearm and open fire on a group of people not prepared for battle. That is a cowardly act. If you're not prepared for battle, why in the world would somebody take a firearm and open fire against you? You are a civilian. And nobody knew he was planning this thing except him. It was a sneak so-called attack. It wasn't even an attack. This was a sneak act of terrorism where he went to El Paso and started shooting at these people for no good reason. I mean, that is completely and utterly weak. And one of the women, one of the sisters of the victims, hugged this man. What is wrong with these people? How you go in a place and hug somebody who didn't give a doggone about them hurting you? That's like somebody stomping on my foot, breaking it in pieces. Oh man, let me hug you, man. Give me a hug, man. My foot hurts so bad, but let me hug you. No, man, no. You stomped on my foot. You did it on purpose. You spit in my face. I got your saliva in my eye. I'm not telling you that it's okay. This is not okay. We got a problem. We got a real problem. We got to deal with it. And this man happened to get life without parole. So he's in a cell, drawing breath, while these people, 22 of them, are dead. 22 people he killed. There's something wrong with this picture. There's something horribly and terribly wrong when a person can come into a place and attack unsuspecting people who are not prepared for an attack, who are not ready to defend themselves from an attack with a firearm, and they get a life sentence. That is not equal. That is the opposite of equal. And then not only that, but for him to be unregarding, unrepentant, and the sister of the victim hugged you. If you'd have known us, you'd have known we was good people. He didn't care if you was good people. All he cared about was destroying. This was the instrument of Satan. All he cared about was destroying lives. That's all he wanted to do. And he was successful at it. Killed 22 people. And all you can do is hug the man. Hug him. Man, I want people to stop being so weak. And it's always these Christians, Hispanic Christians, Black Christians, Asian Christians, whatever Christians it is, they ready to forgive, ready to throw themselves. Yeah, stop on me some more, because you missed the spot. One of my ribs is still intact. Start me again. That's not what the Messiah was saying. Y'all grossly misinterpret these words, and you don't understand what the truth of the matter is. It is not for us to offer ourselves to these oppressive people and let them do to us as they will. That is never the intention of the Messiah, or especially of the Most High. The Most High is a power of justice. Let me continue. We'll be all night at this rate. Let me continue here.
Walmart ceased selling assault rifle ammunition. Politicians clashed over language that fuels hate. Mexico filed terrorism charges. What began as a manifesto ended with 23 funerals and a country forced to confront the cost of online radicalization. He came to erase a culture. What he revealed instead was the resilience of a community and a justice system unwilling to look away. Number 3, Joseph Chuba. He watched cable news. He listened to talk radio. And then he picked up a knife. On October 14th, 2023, Joseph Chuba, a 73-year-old Illinois landlord, committed one of the most disturbing hate crimes in recent U.S. history. It didn't happen in a war zone or a dark alley. It happened in his own home. For 2 years, Chuba had rented rooms to Hanan Shaheen and her 6-year-old son, Wadi Al-Fayumi, in his Plainfield Township house. Neighbors described the arrangement as peaceful, but after the Israel-Hamas war erupted in early October, Chuba became consumed with paranoia. He told his ex-wife that Shaheen needed to move and warned that her friends could come and do us harm. He spoke about a day of jihad, withdrew $1,000 from his bank, and fixated on news of the Middle East. Then he acted. Prosecutors said Chuba first told Shaheen she had to leave. Then, without warning, he pulled a knife from his belt and attacked her, stabbing her more than a dozen times in the neck and back, trying to break her teeth, and strangling her. She managed to lock herself in the bathroom and call 911. But while she fought to survive, her 6-year-old son was still in the living room. Wadi was stabbed 26 times. Chuba left the knife in the boy's body. When police arrived, they found Chuba sitting calmly outside, blood on his hands. Inside, paramedics tried to save Wadi but were unable to revive him. His lungs had been punctured. In court, images of the crime scene were so graphic the judge turned the monitors away from the gallery. At trial, Shaheen testified that Chuba told her, "You, as a Muslim, must die." The prosecution presented surveillance footage, forensic evidence, and Chuba's own words captured on police video. "They are just like infested rats," he said. "I begged her to get out. She wouldn't." The defense argued Chuba had been frightened and misled by misinformation. They asked the jury to go beyond emotion. But the jury took less than 90 minutes to convict him on all counts: first-degree murder, attempted murder, aggravated battery, and 2 hate crimes. At sentencing, Chuba remained silent. He offered no apology, no explanation. He sat in an orange jumpsuit, blank-faced and still. Judge Amy Bertani Tomczak handed down a 53-year sentence, effectively a life term. Wadi's great-uncle spoke for the family. There is no sentence long enough. This was hate. This was murder. Civil rights leaders praised the outcome. The American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee called it a message. Hate-fueled violence has no place here. Illinois does not have the death penalty, but Chuba will die in prison.
Man, that's ridiculous. You know, they could have shipped him right across the state line to Indiana. They got death penalty in Indiana. They could have shipped him right over here and put that man. That is ridiculous. This man just, again, how are you attacking people who are not prepared for an attack? That's not okay. That's weak. It's very weak. And he gonna come with a butcher's knife and attack a woman and a child. I know you're an old man, but that's weak. 53 years they gave this man. Y'all notice how these sentences is just, how these sentencing is just ridiculous? You don't put one man in prison for life and then you put another man in prison for 53 years. 53 years.
God, I remember there had been people that had gotten less years for murdering people than a brother once got for murdering a dog, a police dog.
Yeah, exactly. This system is broken. This system is corrupt, and it's working. It's working just the way they designed it to work. But they're able to manipulate and make it do whatever it is they want to do. Now, if he'd have killed some white folks, I guarantee you he wouldn't have gotten the 53 years. And he wouldn't have been tried in Illinois. He would have been definitely sent to Indiana. Let him have killed a white child and a white woman, tried to kill her and then a white child. I guarantee you he would have got the death penalty. I mean, this is ridiculous, but let's continue here.
The murder of Wadi Al-Fayumi did more than shake a community. It exposed how fear, propaganda, and hate can turn a neighbor into a killer. A child was murdered for his faith. And in a courtroom built for justice, that hate met its reckoning. Number 4, Gregory A. Bush. He didn't storm in. He didn't shout. He just followed, waited.
Yeah, this is the one that was in Kentucky. Check this out.
And then fired. The victims never saw him coming. On October 24th, 2018, Gregory Allen Bush walked into a Kroger grocery store in Jeffersontown, Kentucky. He was armed with a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson pistol. Inside, 69-year-old Maurice Stallard was shopping with his grandson. Surveillance footage showed Bush tailing Stallard through the aisle. Without hesitation, he pulled the gun from his waistband and shot Stallard in the back of the head. Then he fired again. And again. The grandson watched as his grandfather collapsed. Bush walked calmly out of the store. In the parking lot, 67-year-old Vicki Lee Jones was on the phone. Witnesses later recalled her saying, "I just want to get home. Lord, let me get home." Bush paused, looked at her, and smirked. Then he raised his weapon and shot her multiple times in the head and body. A third black man, Dominic Rozier, confronted Bush with a legally concealed firearm. Shots were exchanged, but no one was injured. Bush fled the scene and was arrested shortly after. Officers arrived within 4 minutes. What made the attack more chilling was what Bush had done moments earlier. Surveillance video revealed he had tried to enter the First Baptist Church of Jeffersontown, a predominantly black congregation. The doors were locked. Denied entry, he moved on to Kroger. His motive was unambiguous. He told a white man, "Don't shoot me, I won't shoot you. Whites don't shoot whites." He later admitted he targeted the victims because they were black. His online posts echoed similar sentiments, racial slurs, rants about black-on-black crime, and conspiracy theories. Prosecutors called it what it was, a hate crime. The Justice Department called it vicious, racially motivated violence. Bush was indicted on federal hate crime charges, as well as state charges including murder and attempted murder. He pleaded guilty but mentally ill. His schizophrenia had gone untreated. His public defender said he was haunted by voices. Yet a psychiatric evaluation found him competent to stand trial. The courtroom was silent as Bush received 2 life sentences without the possibility of parole. He offered no apology. He stared ahead, blank-faced, dressed in gray prison clothes. Maurice Stallard's daughter addressed him directly, "The man whose life you took, he gave and he loved. I hope you think about what you did." In the aftermath, Kentucky lawmakers proposed expanding the state's hate crime statutes. Kroger changed its firearms policy, asking customers not to openly carry. And in Jeffersontown, a city shaken by racially charged violence, an interfaith moment of unity was declared. Gregory Bush now serves his life sentence at Luther Luckett Correctional Complex. He will die behind bars. He wanted to ignite a race war. Instead, he sparked a reckoning, one that forced a community and a country to confront the real terror of hate hiding in plain sight. Number 5, Jeremy Joseph Christian. He didn't bring a gun, just hate and a knife. And in under 12 seconds, 2 men were dead. On May 26, 2017, Jeremy Joseph Christian boarded a MAX train in Portland, Oregon. What began as shouting quickly spiraled into one of the city's deadliest hate crimes in recent history. Christian was yelling racial and anti-Muslim slurs at 2 teenage girls, Destiny Mangum, 16, and Walia Mohammed, 17. One wore a hijab. Christian told them to go back to Saudi Arabia and said Muslims should die. Ricky John Best, a 53-year-old Army veteran and father of 4, stepped in to protect the girls. Taliesin Namkamesh, 23, a recent Reed College graduate, followed. Christian responded by pulling a knife and stabbing both men in the neck. He then slashed the throat of a third man, Micah Fletcher, 21, who survived with a wound just millimeters from his carotid artery. The attack was over in less than 12 seconds. Christian fled the train as passengers screamed for help. Police arrested him minutes later near a medical center, where he tossed his folding knife at a police vehicle. In custody, he said, "I just stabbed a bunch of motherfuckers in the neck." Prosecutors said the act was fueled by white supremacist beliefs, calling it a hate crime and domestic terrorism. Christian had a history of disturbing behavior. Just one day prior, he threw a bottle at a black woman on the train. His online posts included neo-Nazi propaganda, anti-Semitic slurs, and calls for racial violence. Witnesses described his behavior as erratic and fueled by hate. During the trial, experts confirmed he had antisocial personality disorder, but he was deemed mentally competent to stand trial. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, assault, menacing, and intimidation. In February 2020, a jury found him guilty on all counts. By then, Oregon had passed a law eliminating the death penalty for aggravated murder, so Christian received 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus 51.5 years. During sentencing, Christian remained silent. Dressed in gray jail-issued clothing, he sat without expression. Micah Fletcher told him directly, "I hope you sit in a cell for the rest of your life. I do hope you find a way to become better than what you are today." Namkamesh's mother called her son a hero. The murder sparked vigils across Portland. Over $1 million was raised for the victims' families. Politicians, activists, and Muslim leaders condemned the violence. The mayor called the victims true heroes, and city officials urged stronger hate crime protections. The community demanded action. Christian appealed his conviction, citing procedural errors. But in June 2024, the Oregon Court of Appeals upheld the verdict in full. He remains behind bars for life. 3 men stood up to hate on a crowded train. 2 paid with their lives. But their courage proved that even in silence, decency speaks loudest. Number 6, James Harris Jackson. He didn't carry a gun, just a sword and a mission fueled by hate. He had been planning this for over a decade. But the city he chose fought back with law, not blood. On March 20th, 2017, James Harris Jackson, a 28-year-old white supremacist from Baltimore, traveled to New York City with chilling resolve. He sought practice in violence against black men, carrying with him a 26-inch sword. His target, 66-year-old Timothy Kaufman, who spent his evening collecting bottles near a Manhattan subway station. Jackson spotted Kaufman outside a police station and attacked him from behind, plunging the sword repeatedly into Kaufman's back and chest. The victim staggered into the 30th precinct, bleeding profusely, before collapsing inside. Jackson remained calm, folding 3 unused knives in his backpack before walking into the station to turn himself in. The killing was brutal. Jackson later described it as an amateurish, slipshod version of a terrorist attack. Kaufman died hours later at Bellevue Hospital. Jackson confessed to police that his act was racially driven, saying, "The racial world war starts today." This political terrorist attack is a formal declaration of a global total war on the Negro races. He admitted he chose New York because it was the media capital of the world, and he planned more attacks to ignite a race war and stop interracial relationships he deemed unacceptable. Authorities charged Jackson with first and second-degree murder as an act of terrorism, second-degree murder as a hate crime, and criminal weapon possession. He pled guilty in January 2019. In February, he was handed life without parole at New York's Supreme Court. During sentencing, Jackson stood expressionless in olive prison garb, his hands folded loosely behind his back. He offered no apology, no explanation, just a blank stare fixed on nothing. He stared ahead, resigned, unrepentant, while the judge acknowledged the gravity of an ideologically motivated murder meant to terrorize minority communities. Timothy Kaufman's family mourned. His cousin pointedly said, "The sick irony that someone obviously diseased of mind could commit a hate crime against someone so loving." At the funeral, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio called it more than a murder. It's an assault on what makes this the greatest city in the world, our inclusiveness and diversity. The mayor urged all New Yorkers to reject hate and embrace unity. Jackson's confession, courtroom demeanor, and social media footprint marked by white nationalist and neo-Nazi material painted a portrait of a radicalized killer, not a troubled loner. Mental health arguments were raised, but Jackson was deemed fit to stand trial. His knowledge of conspiracy theories like white genocide, his manifesto, and his calm assertion of political motive stripped any pretense of insanity. The case triggered legal shifts. Jackson became the first person in New York to be convicted under its newly enforced hate crime terrorism statutes, reflecting a more assertive legal stance on ideologically driven violence. Civil rights groups praised the outcome as a step toward accountability in terror acts born of racism. One man's life ended in a single brutal act. One killer hoped to start a war. What he left behind was proof that hate, once uncovered, demands accountability. Number 7, Corey Ali Muhammad. He didn't wait for headlines. He made his own 4 dead in 5 minutes, and not a single doubt why. The targets were chosen. The motive was clear. Race. On 2 separate days in April 2017, Corey Ali Muhammad, a self-proclaimed black supremacist formerly known as Corey Allen Taylor, carried out one of the most overtly racist shooting sprees in recent California history. His first victim, Carl Williams, a 25-year-old white security guard, was gunned down outside a Motel 6 in Fresno. Muhammad later said he killed him because he was enforcing motel policy. But the real reason, he told police, was race. 5 days later, Muhammad returned to the streets of Fresno armed with a revolver and a plan. He had learned he was wanted for Williams' murder and decided, in his own words, "If I'm going down for one, I might as well take out as many white men as I can." Within 4 minutes, he had fatally shot 3 more men, Zachary Randalls, Mark Gassett, and David Jackson. All of them were white. All of them were strangers. He spared a Hispanic driver and a Latina woman with a child, confirming he had come hunting by race. Witnesses described Muhammad shouting racial slurs and obscenities as he opened fire. He reloaded at a bus stop mid-spree and chased down Jackson, his oldest and heaviest target, into a parking lot, where he fired 6 times. Muhammad later said he shot Gassett a second time to make sure he was dead, comparing the killing to how COVID-19 was killing white men. Police arrested him just 4 minutes after the spree began, tipped off by Fresno's ShotSpotter gunfire detection system. As he was cuffed, Muhammad smiled and shouted Allahu Akbar. He later confessed, stating flatly, "I did it. I shot them." Investigators quickly ruled out terrorism and labeled the shootings a racially motivated hate crime. Fresno Police Chief Jerry Dyer said the motive was solely based on race. Muhammad had a long history of untreated mental illness, including psychosis and auditory hallucinations. He had previously been found incompetent in federal court and committed for evaluation. His social media was littered with extremist views tied to the Nation of Islam and conspiracies about white devils and black genocide. But the jury found him sane enough to stand trial and guilty on all counts, for murders, for attempted murders, and weapons charges. He received life in prison without the possibility of parole. At sentencing, he blew kisses to the victims' families. He laughed while recounting the killings. Expressionless in a beige prison jumpsuit, he stared ahead, eyes cold, posture unrepentant. Muhammad remained defiant to the end. The case sparked outrage, not only for its violence but for how openly hate-fueled it was. Civil rights experts called it a wake-up call for race-based extremism. Law enforcement renewed efforts to track ideology-driven crimes. Corey Ali Muhammad wanted a race war. What he got instead was a lifetime behind bars and a justice system that called his crime by its name. Number 8, Peyton S. Gendron. He didn't lurk in darkness. He chose a grocery store at its...
All right, real quick about that last person. You know, I thought that he got life in prison. Not life in prison. I thought he got the death penalty, but they got life in prison. Does that make it okay? Does that make it fair? No, it doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it fair. When you attack people who are not soldiers, who are not prepared to be attacked, who are not there for war, that is not a reasonable, that's not reasonable behavior. You're not even attacking people who are doing anything to you. You're attacking people who are people going about their business. And you come attacking anybody in that situation needs to face the death penalty, period. That's not an okay situation. He didn't specify who he, that's just bad. That's bad policy on behalf of this country, on the prosecution, on the judge, all of them. This man, any person who attacks somebody who is not ready for an attack needs to be put to death. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Imagine you doing regular stuff. You going to the grocery store, you at worship service, you're taking care of getting gas in your car, and some crazy person comes up and seeks to kill you with a weapon. You don't have a weapon. You're not prepared for an attack. You came out of your house with the plan to go to do what you was doing, and you were doing that, and here comes a crazy person, to say the least, attacking you with a weapon. They got a weapon. They know they got a weapon, and they came to attack. That's not okay. That's not reasonable behavior. And the last thing that taxpayers should have to do is to pay for this person to be in prison and to eat meals every day and to have a place to sleep and to have magazines and whatever other privileges that they get. That is just ridiculous. And the idea that somehow they can mess up and this person can leave out of the prison one day, as has happened too many times in the last decade, in the last 2 decades, actually. Somebody has made a mistake and let prisoners walk out of prison, regardless of what they have done in their reason to be there. I mean, these things should not happen, and I don't support that behavior. I don't support you attacking somebody who is not there to be attacked. That's just ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Con, land backing. I'm really glad you said that, because we are ambassadors of the kingdom, a kingdom that the word says will be established on judgment and justice. And that's coming from Yeshayahu chapter 9, verse 7. Speaking about the Prince of Peace, that peace being order, right? Because he's coming with the sword, right? But we are descendants of Abraham, right? Descendants of Isaac, descendants of Yasharal, 12 tribes, one nation.
Right.
We seek justice and judgment for the Eretz, for our people first,
Right.
but for the Eretz as well, because it belongs to the Most High.
Indeed.
And righteousness will reign. And these acts, no matter what color, creed you are, you know, you will fall under order. You know, innocent blood, the Most High hates the shedding of it. So I'll yield there. So that's, you know, that's what we gotta hate as well.
Indeed, indeed. You know, and it's just not reasonable that a person who's not at war gets war declared on them, and they just do, you know, just fall victim to some crazy person with this ideology that I'm here to kill you, and you even have a means to defend yourself.
You know, I mean, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Here's where I'm torn at, though. You know, we just the short amount of time we've spent on this video and videos that we've covered in the past. I'm trying to think of when we haven't been at war.
Yeah. I feel you on that. And I can agree with that as well. And you know, there's a segment of the population that you can attack, and it would be reasonable in my estimation. And that segment are the specialty trained, armed, and should be ready to defend. And those people have to be ready. That's their job. Their job, they get paid to be ready. And so if you're going to attack somebody and you want to feel good about it, attack. I mean, that's who you got. And I'm not saying go out and do it, but if you're going to do that and you want notoriety for it, that's who you attack. You don't attack some guy at a grocery store or people shopping for their groceries or at Walmart or whatever they're doing regular stuff. These are not people that you attack. That's cowardly. That's a cowardly situation. You attack a 60, 70-year-old man, I mean, that's a coward's move. A child, a little child, that's absolutely cowardly. You know, there's no way around that. People praying in church, like that is beyond despicable. You attack people praying in church. You come in there acting like you with the whole process, the whole service, and at the end you pull out a gun and start shooting. I mean, that is the epitome of a coward. Simple and plain. You know, if you're going to attack somebody who can defend themselves. Attack somebody who can give you a run for your money. You know what I'm saying? Don't attack people
someone who's no threat to you. You know what I mean? Attack your threat. Attack that one who hates you, who has oppressed you, you know?
Indeed. 100%. Now, I'm not saying go out and attack anybody. But if you want notoriety, if you want to be looked at as somebody who did something, you know, think about the times in the text where there was a challenge was accepted, and they had a duel, a fight. And whoever won was the victor. That makes sense. I know we fighting. I don't have to attack you while your back is turned. We know we fighting. Let the best man win. Let it be like that. Be a man about it. Be an adult about it. Don't attack a child in his home. I mean, that's ridiculous. How are you supposed to defend that? He's a child. That's ridiculous. But let's continue. I'll finish up.
On May 14th, 2022, 18-year-old Peyton S. Gendron drove over 200 miles from Conklin, New York, to Buffalo. For months, he had planned this act of domestic terrorism. His goal, to kill as many black people as possible. He had visited the Tops Friendly Market several times beforehand, sketching layouts, monitoring peak hours, and studying racial demographics. He posted a 180-page manifesto online, detailing his motives rooted in white supremacy and the Great Replacement conspiracy theory. He live-streamed the attack using a head-mounted camera on Twitch. At 2:15 p.m., Gendron opened fire in the parking lot, killing 3. He then stormed inside, shouting racial slurs, targeting only black shoppers. One white man crossed his path. Gendron apologized and walked past. 10 of the 13 people shot were killed, all of them black. 3 others were wounded. Among the dead, 86-year-old Ruth Whitfield, 55-year-old retired police officer Aaron Salter Jr., and 77-year-old substitute teacher Pearl Young. Salter fired back at the gunman, but Gendron's military-grade body armor rendered his defense ineffective. The method was permitted.
This dude showed up with military weapons and armor. Like what? What? At a Kroger? At a grocery store? What? Who are you hunting? What was you hunting? I mean, that's ridiculous. At a grocery store, you show up with military-grade weapon and armor. Armor. I mean, that is beyond ridiculous. That is the most cowardly. Let's continue.
The motive overt. Gendron's diary detailed months of planning, including how he chose the location to maximize black casualties. He had considered other sites, including malls and churches, before settling on the Buffalo zip code with the highest concentration of African Americans. He used illegal high-capacity magazines bought in Pennsylvania, and his rifle was covered in racist graffiti and white nationalist symbols. Police arrived just 4 minutes after the shooting began. Gendron aimed his weapon at his own neck before officers talked him down. He was arrested on the spot and later confessed, "I did it. I shot them." Authorities charged him with 1 count of domestic terrorism motivated by hate, New York's first use of this law, 10 counts of first-degree murder, and multiple attempted murder and weapons charges. In November 2022, Gendron pleaded guilty. On February 15, 2023, he was sentenced to 11 concurrent life terms without parole, plus 90 years. In court, he stood motionless in an olive green prison uniform, expressionless, cold, unrepentant. Federal prosecutors have since filed 27 additional charges, including hate crimes and firearms offenses. In January 2024, the Department of Justice announced it would seek the death penalty. His federal trial is scheduled for 2026. The massacre forced a national reckoning on gun laws, online radicalization, and white supremacist extremism. New York passed legislation banning military-style body armor and restricting youth access to firearms. Families of the victims offered emotional testimony, some demanding he suffer for life, others insisting death was too easy. "He should be haunted every night," said one. Peyton Gendron set out to massacre a community. What he sparked instead was a movement and a reminder that when hate becomes action, justice must be louder than silence. Number 9. Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, William Roddy Bryan. He wasn't breaking the law, he was jogging. But for 3 armed white men in Georgia, that alone was enough to justify a deadly pursuit. On February 23, 2020, Ahmaud Arbery, a 25-year-old black man, was jogging through a suburban neighborhood near Brunswick when he was confronted by Travis McMichael, his father Gregory McMichael, and neighbor William Roddy Bryan Jr. Believing Arbery matched a burglary suspect with no evidence, the McMichaels armed themselves and pursued him in a pickup truck. Bryan followed in his own vehicle, filming with his cell phone. For nearly 5 minutes, the men boxed Arbery in. At one point, Gregory told police they had Arbery trapped like a rat. When Arbery attempted to run past the truck, Travis exited, shotgun in hand. A struggle followed. Within seconds, Travis fired 3 shots. Arbery collapsed in the street and died on the scene. He was unarmed. The video, later released by Bryan, sparked national outrage. It showed Arbery running, cornered, then gunned down. Gregory stood armed on the truck bed. Bryan filmed from behind, never intervening. Despite the clear footage, no arrests were made for over 2 months. Only after public pressure, viral protests, and state intervention did charges follow. In November 2021, all 3 men were convicted in state court. Travis was found guilty of malice murder and 8 other counts. Gregory and Brian were found guilty of felony murder and other charges. In February 2022, a federal jury found them guilty of hate crimes, confirming they had targeted Arbery because of his race. Prosecutors presented messages from Travis and Brian laced with racist slurs. One prosecutor stated plainly, Ahmaud Arbery died because he was black. The judge noted the killing was callous and driven by a desire for confrontation. Travis and Gregory received life without parole. Brian received life with the possibility of parole after 30 years. At sentencing, Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, told the court, I feel every shot that was fired, every day. His father said Travis deserved to rot in prison. Civil rights groups called the verdict a turning point, reinforcing that racial vigilante violence has legal consequences. The defendants requested placement in federal custody, citing safety and health concerns. The judge denied it. They are now the property of Georgia's Department of Corrections, she said. The case led to legal change. Georgia repealed its Civil War-era citizens arrest law. It also fueled national protests alongside the killings of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, marking a critical point in America's reckoning with racial violence. The three men are now appealing their convictions. But for many, the message is clear. What began as a driveway decision ended in a hate crime, and no claim of citizen's arrest can justify racial execution. The Ahmaud Arbery case explained not only a crime, but a reckoning -one that redefined how Georgia, and the nation, confronts hate-motivated violence. This was more than a Georgia hate crime trial. It was the final word on vigilante murder sentencing in modern America. Ahmaud Arbery's death revealed more than injustice. It forced the country to ask, who gets the benefit of the doubt and who gets chased down for running? Number 10, Robert.
Man, that was a difficult situation. And then the fact that they're trying to appeal that the verdict of guilty, where they're not even facing, death. They're facing not even life. They're just facing punishment for the killing this man who was minding his own business, trying to keep himself in shape, trying to keep his health intact. And because he was trying to keep his health intact, these men sought to murder him. And they did exactly that. Murdered him because he was jogging. A black man jogging. So I guess the only place we're allowed to jog is inside of a gymnasium. Otherwise, some Caucasian can see you and decide that you fit the description of some kind of a criminal and take it upon themselves to execute you, become your judge, jury, and executioner. Because that's what happened to this brother. And then when they found out that they got the wrong person, they want to appeal because they did the wrong thing. They acted in the wrong way. Now they want to appeal. It's outrageous. It's completely and utterly outrageous. Our brother had no need to lose his life because he was jogging. And then they try to say that it was a citizen's arrest because he was black in their community. They had the right to arrest him and kill him. Ridiculous. Let's continue.
Gregory Bowers. He didn't yell. He didn't hesitate. He entered a house of worship with quiet intent, armed, radicalized, and certain that his war on Jewish life would start that morning. On October 27, 2018, at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Robert Gregory Bowers opened fire during Shabbat services. Armed with an AR-15 style rifle and 3 Glock .357 pistols, he killed 11 people and wounded 6, including 5 police officers. It remains the deadliest anti-Semitic attack in U.S. history. Bowers, then 46, targeted 3 congregations worshiping in the same building. He moved methodically, firing 92 rounds, reloading at least twice, and stepping over bodies to search for more victims. Survivors described him shooting up close and personal. Melvin Wax, 87, was executed point blank. Rose Mallinger, 97, was the oldest victim. Cecil and David Rosenthal, two brothers with disabilities, were among the first shot. His motive was clear. Online, Bowers had posted, "All Jews must die." He subscribed to the Great Replacement Theory, a white supremacist conspiracy claiming Jews orchestrated non-white immigration to exterminate white Americans. Just before the massacre, he wrote on Gab, "HIAS likes to bring invaders and that kill our people. I'm going in." He had planned it for months. Investigators found that Bowers had configured his computer to delete files after a 200-minute countdown. During the assault, he called 911 and told dispatchers, "They're committing genocide to my people. I just want to kill Jews." When police stormed the building, Bowers opened fire again. He was shot multiple times before surrendering. In custody, he showed no remorse. He told one officer he wished he'd killed more. In court, his defense didn't dispute guilt. Instead, they argued he suffered from schizophrenia and delusional thinking rooted in childhood trauma. At age 13, he had once tried to set his mother on fire. But prosecutors countered that his beliefs were not delusions, they were hate. A jury agreed. On August 3, 2023, Bowers was sentenced to death on 22 capital counts. Expressionless in a drab gray uniform, Robert Bowers sat rigid, his jaw clenched and eyes blank, no flicker of regret as the sentence was read aloud. Behind him, rows of grieving relatives stared silently, waiting for closure that never came. Today, Robert Bowers remains on federal death row at USP Terre Haute in Indiana. His appeal was denied in 2024. President Biden excluded him from clemency, citing the scale and motive of the attack. Though executions are rare, Bowers is one of the few prisoners whose death sentence remains active under the current administration. The Tree of Life synagogue mass shooting became a national flashpoint for anti-Semitic extremism. As the Robert Bowers hate crime case explained, this wasn't just mass murder, it was ideology weaponized. He walked in to destroy a faith, but in the end, all he did was ensure his name would be remembered.
Yeah, so he walked in there and tried to take out these people. Again, they're trying to do their worship, and he came in attacking, bringing a sword to a worship such situation, which is completely crazy and out of place, But ironically, he got the death penalty. I wonder what caused him to get the death penalty of all these people. Apparently, the first one and the last one got the death penalty. The rest of them, they was all right. They all right with letting them live. But this guy and then this first guy, they got the death penalty.
Kind of seems like it kind of matters who you kill is going to dictate your sentencing.
The sentencing, yeah. You kill a bunch of Jews, they're gonna ship you to Indiana, where you're gonna be put to death. But you kill a bunch of Negroes, in one instance you may get the death penalty, but in other instances you're gonna get, life in prison. Life in prison is terrible, because you can appeal, you can, try to twist the story, twist the narrative, and it just takes getting in front of the right person, and for them to hear you, you could literally get out. So it's a horrible situation. In these situations, there's no need to be merciful. And I know that may sound rough, but if it's no need for me to have mercy on you when you don't ask for mercy. You're not asking for mercy. Why am I being merciful on you? That don't make any sense. When you say, yeah, I did it and I meant to do it, guess what? I don't need to be merciful to you. You deserve what you're getting. And what you should get, it should be the harshest punishment possible. And by whatever means that needs to be. But some odd reason they find a way to let that not be the case, and I don't agree with that at all. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say I'm above or anything of that nature. I'm not doing any of that. But when it comes to a person attacking innocent people, that's not something that should be okay. Simple and plain. It should not be okay. So I'm a yield there. You got anything to add up?
Khan, is there a? Oh, that was the end of the video, huh?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, Khan. What I would like to add is just, I want our people to be vigilant and be aware.
Yeah.
We've read about, we've watched video of some of the atrocities that have already taken place. And what I want our people to be aware of is that, some plots are still being discovered.
Right.
And let me bring up this individual's name if I can. I just had it a second ago.
Mm.
But he was in Dayton, Ohio, and he decided that he wanted to incite people to come together to attack black people. Let me grab the article. Here it is, right here. So his name is Michael Hanna. 30-year-old man from Dayton, Ohio, was arrested by the FBI in early August 2025. He is accused of making threats on social media, on X, to organize a mob to kill black people in Cincinnati. Now, we know that the last few weeks have been, eventful there in Cincinnati. There was a small disturbance downtown Cincinnati, and racial in nature. So racial tension is high at this moment, and he thought it would be a good idea to, try to get people together to come together and kill blacks. There was another situation of mass shooting averted. The police found this man, examined his car, and he had all of these rounds of ammunition to go and kill, black people.
Right.
So it's going on all around us.
Yeah.
These are the days of wrath. Keep your sword on you if you got it, and be mindful that this is not our home, and that there are people here that hate us. And like I said, it's very evident just looking at history here,
Yeah.
And I'll yield there.
Indeed, Akid, that was a good point. Be vigilant, be prepared, and be mindful that the adversary goes about seeking whom he can devour. And you get an opportunity, shut him down. Shut him down. Because he's going to take every bit that he can. Shut him down. Send him on. And don't make any bones about it. Don't feel negative about it. Send him on. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's a person with no soldiering should not be targeted by soldiers or somebody who's acting in the capacity of a soldier. That's behavior should not exist, and it's absolutely horrible. It's deplorable. It's despicable, and it's filthy. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and close this on out. We do this for a specific purpose. I was gonna do another video, but this video got me down. I'm ready to get off of here. We do this for a specific purpose. Romans chapter 10 and verse 1, brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to Ha'abba for Israel is that they might be saved. We want to see our people saved. We want to see our people set free. We want to see our people prepared for these people who want to attack innocent, untrained, unarmed people We want to know our people are ready for these things. And when it comes about, they shut it down. Some man who's prepared shuts it down and gives them a reason to think twice. Oh, it might not work out for us like it did this time. Might not work out next time in the same manner because this didn't work. So we need to be mindful of this. Shut it down and be mindful. Well, we want to see our people saved. We want to see our people set free. We want to see our people prepared for the return of Hamashiach, of the Messiah. How are we going to do it? First of all, we're going to keep the faith and the belief in the Messiah, in Hamashiach, in his return and his restoration of our people. Also, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13, let us to the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. It is so very important to understand that in the conclusion of the whole matter, we are to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. At the end of the day, when it is all said and done, all the dust is settled and all the smoke is cleared, we will be judged on whether we have feared the Most High and kept his commandments. Why? Because this is the whole duty of man. I am your Akazaki Yahoo, joined by my most esteemed Akinanaya, giving all praises, honor, and great esteem unto the Most High Power, Yahweh Bashem, Hamashiach Wamalak, Yahweh Shai, and to the 12 tribes of Israel who are scattered to the four quarters of the earth. I say Shalom, Wa, Baruchim, that is peace and blessings. And I cannot wait till the day when the Most High brings us back together and we are once again 12 tribes, one family, one nation under the Most High Power, under one covenant, back in our own land with a heart of flesh and no more a heart of stone, with our enemies, our adversaries, and all those who hate us under our feet. Until that day come, Shalom, family.
Shalom, Mr. Picard.
All praises to Yahweh. All praise to the Abba and all that he has done. To the 12 tribes, stay ready. Kwam Yasha Allah.
Kwam Yashala.
And Barak Hashem Yahweh.